You know, I can hear the cackling from down the street.
Today, we are going to discuss how Jinkx Monsoon, winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5, beat out 13 other queens to claim the title of Drag Superstar. So, how did she do it? Jinkx Monsoon was 24 years old from Seattle, Washington. She was kooky, eccentric, and quickly typecast as a comedy queen. But it was clear from the get-go that she was a standout from the other competitors on her season. Jinkx relied much more on her talent in the entertainment field rather than leaning into fashion and looks. Her background was in singing, but she also excelled in dancing, theater, and acting. Other queens on the season were often frustrated with her, some mainly out of jealousy where they knew she was getting a lot of positive critiques from the judges. Even if she wasn't the top queen that episode, she usually had some kind of shout out from the judges. Jinkx had come in very strong early on.
The Meryl Streep of drag queens.
Because that bitch turned it out.
I have 2 words, master comedian.
Very good actress. She's beautiful. She's funny.
She took that script and she made it her own.
That takes a really talented person to be able to do that.
A lot of people point to Snatch Game as her shining moment. Snatch Game showcased her talent in improv and comedy, which marked her a clear path to victory for the season. She also chose to impersonate Little Edie, a character that was completely out of left field. This character wasn't an obvious pop culture reference, but Jinkx nailed it. It was the first time an unknown character, someone not so popular, was used to win this challenge.
She's always begging for the pate, but the label is faded. I can never tell if it's pate or if it's giblets for the cats. Quite the scandal, actually. Yes. With my cousin-in-law, really. Yes. It was in all the magazines at the time.
Not only was she funny, she showed incredible improv skills by being able to respond to Ru in a witty manner and played off the other girls throughout the challenge, thus securing her first win and marking her as someone to watch out for as a real contender for the crown.
Who ruled the Snatch Game. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I think anybody who ever does the Snatch Game should watch what you did.
From there, she took off. She continued doing well in almost all of the challenges. It didn't matter whether it was singing, hosting, acting, or dancing. She was dynamic and proved to be a standout, even when the other queens didn't think so or tried to tear her down.
Can I get nervous?
What also helped Jinkx secure the crown was that she grew in her weaknesses. Fashion was Jinkx's Achilles heel. Her runway looks were not up to par with the other queens, and it wasn't what the judges were looking for. Week after week, she would walk the runway and receive scathing remarks in terms of her wardrobe.
Not crazy about the hair and makeup, it's not my favorite, but I want to see some glamour. I want to know if you've got that in you.
Jinxie, I am starting to give up here.
It's rather pedestrian. I'm not getting glamour.
I do think we have a slightly different aesthetic.
While other queens receiving feedback would either lash out or do nothing to change it, Jinkx took the criticism to heart and worked hard to show that she could be a well-rounded queen and grow in the areas that she did not have expertise in.
Let's start with the runway look. I love it!
What's important to keep in mind is that she never strayed from who she was. Pushing herself in fashion one week, she leaned into more of an artsy, costumey vibe, despite the other queens telling her not to. But she didn't listen. Instead, she showcased her makeup skills with a Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos theme, and she painted her whole face, completely surprising the judges and causing Ru to audibly gasp.
Jinkx Monsoon.
Drag of the Dead.
I feel fan-fucking-tastic.
She took a gamble, but it paid off in a big way. This, combined with her acting performance and the telenovela skit, led to another victory and meant that Jinkx was the first queen in Season 5 to garner 2 challenge wins. Even when trying to push herself to improve her runway looks, she wasn't abandoning her style of drag.
You're the winner of this week's challenge.
The only time that Jinkx's run on the show was in danger was in the final four after the Sugar Ball challenge. She had to create a dress that was candy and wintered inspired. It did not go well, landing her in the bottom alongside Detox, a rival who had been severely underestimating her. However, there was no need to worry because the lip sync song was in Jinkx's wheelhouse.
I hate to say it, but Detox might be getting outdanced by Jinkx.
Jinkx Monsoon, Shante, you stay.
Being announced the winner of the lip sync ensured Jinkx's victory for the season. The other two finalists, Roxy and Alaska, weren't going to win. Roxy was talented as a pageant queen and putting a look together, but was very uncomfortable being challenged outside of that space and shut down when receiving the judges' critiques. Alaska showed a lot of talent as well, but wasn't willing to let the audience, the judges, or the other queens in on who she was as a person. She seemed closed off and was constantly putting up a wall to avoid showing her heart. Plus, Alaska's mind was on Sharon Needles, her partner at the time and the most recent winner of Drag Race. This led to Alaska putting crippling pressure on herself. Alaska was so focused on perfection that she didn't allow for vulnerability. With Alaska, we saw the performer, but with Jinkx, we saw the person. Jinkx was her own kind of superstar. She was the first crowned queen to ever win the Snatch Game Challenge, showing a different path to victory. She brought something to the show that we hadn't seen before. Rather than allowing herself to be put in a box of comedy queen, she shone all around and let her performances do the talking. She handled the bullying and constant negative critiques gracefully. She chose to lead with kindness instead of stooping to the other queen's level. She talked about how she was always marching to the beat of her own drum and wanted to be an inspiration for others. She ignored the noise, focused on the challenges, showcased her unique talents, and learned from the judges' feedback. And everything else was water off a duck's back.
The winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, America's next drag superstar, is Jinkx Monsoon.
Get ready, bitches, because it's monsoon season!